Morning and welcome to the trade setup right here on BloombergQuint Live. I'm Niraj Shah, and it's a it's a day that is dominated by a lot of I dare say brokerage recommendations that have come out thick and fast on a number of stocks. A lot of stocks will react to the news flow surrounding them as well. So fairly stock specific day, first day of the new series. Even a fabulous month of June, a fabulous last series as well. Can this be consolidation? A series of consolidation of sorts, or will this see the return of the older hands? I think that's the key question. But first, what's happened around the world? Now, the US markets had a ho-hum day of sorts yesterday. I mean, if you just look at what they did, precious little, if you will, compared to what they usually do. The number of cases of coronavirus hotspots out there continue to rise. But the Dow, the Nasdaq, and the S&P had about a percent kind of a move. So not bad, you would have to say. And I think that is purely fueling what will happen in Asia. Keep in mind, I think the belief of the disconnect between what the indices are doing and not what the GDP is doing, but what the earnings are supposed to do or likely to do continues, and that's of course a sign of caution. There's this wonderful chart on Bloomberg which shows about how this almost a bit of a disconnect between what the earnings picture is and what it says. Now, things could happen, right? One, earnings could catch up, or two, indices could come down. The blue line is the S&P 500, and the white line is the US after-tax corporate profits. Or both could happen, right? Markets could come off a little bit, and earnings could play a bit of a catch-up. But what if earnings don't catch up? We have a repeat of what happened post 99. That's the key question. Well, let's wait and watch. Really, too far out to predict. For now, for the day today, yes, there is caution, but the markets continue to rise back by what happened in the US. So I think Asia is not having a bad start. Um, Across the board, I've seen indices which are either flattish or marginally in the green, if you will. That's, of course, HSI and KOSPI. And I think the Chinese markets, of course, will kickstart trade on Monday. But the SGX Nifty indicates a start, which is, at least the last time that I checked, was mildly positive. That's probably a good sign for all of you. So let's wait and watch. About 0.15% actually flattish now. Let's wait and watch what happens during the course of the day. Now, what is the trade setup looking like? I think most traders that I spoke to believe that, or I read quotes of believe that the Nifty will move in a very tight range. Not a surprise, really. Most of you will probably be able to give that prediction as well. So I had a review, and I'm a mug when it comes to predicting indices. I don't think too many people can do that. I certainly don't want to get into that game. But what I do think is that after a pause, a relative pause of sorts in the June series, telecom and pharma might made a bit of a comeback. We've seen after a very brisk month of May, there was almost a pause in those indices in the month of June in specific names. Can those come back is the key question. BFSI has had a rocking June series. Can it be consolidating now? That's the question. Of course, there's an important one. We found out in the stories then on our website about how the government is in talks with the Reserve Bank of India for one-time restructuring of loans. I read somewhere that there's a board meet of the Reserve Bank today as well, which could probably discuss this or some other factors. So I think it'll be an important one to monitor from a BFSI perspective. And I would watch out for IT because Accenture, the stock was up after the Q3 results, and the lower end of the local currency revenue guidance was revised upwards. Now, that should read positively. The read through for Indian IT is pretty positive as a result of that. Yes, there are some question marks about the legacy business, but I think just on the basis of this, you could well have Nifty IT being active today. So do watch out. IT could well be a very interesting sector to monitor in the session today. It could well have been the sector of the day today, really. Things that you should watch out for: earnings, Coal India and ITC, and ITC is on a bit of a roll really yesterday after that Batliwala and Karani report speaking about the possibilities of valuation upticks. I think that was one single reason why I thought ITC got very active in trade yesterday. Coal India is interesting too. It's moving up despite all the news flow surrounding coal mine auctions, etc. It's actually positive for Coal India, I would say. So watch out for those two. Watch out for some interesting mid-cap names. IRCTC always in focus. Glenmark, after that big move because of the launch of the COVID-19 medicine, should be interesting one to monitor the commentary thereof. APL Apollo Tubes, from what I hear from a lot of smart fund managers, that this one is really having some very good times in terms of its business because competition is getting decimated. So APL would be interesting one to watch. And Ruchi Soya, what a run that stock has had. It's almost unreal. And therefore, what did numbers look like? Well, story too. But stocks that I would monitor, I haven't classified it as the stock of the day because I actually thought IT would be the sector of the day. Therefore, there's no stock of the day today. But I would watch out for Vedanta. Shareholders have approved the promoter's delisting plan of the company, and some 93.4% of the votes were in favor of the motion. Yes, remember, I'll just quickly take a minute out here. What happens next? That in the next 2 or 3 weeks, Vedanta will seek permission for the reverse book building. Once it gets the reverse book building, that process will start. I reckon we'll get over by July end. And then the stock, if everything goes well, could get delisted in the month of August. It is a slightly long drawn process, yes. But remember, viewers, the base price of 87 is not the delisting price. The delisting price could well be materially different from what there is, depending on what the institutional investors say that they want to give the stock back at. So that's the key that you have to bear in mind. No linkage between the final delisting price versus the base price set. That the wheels are in motion. So do watch out for Vedanta. I wouldn't hazard a guess as to what the stock price could be really. It could be a lot of delisting proposals have failed and stocks have collapsed as well. So be careful. But yeah, just the point that now it's a 1 month, 1.5 month process. BHEL, Bharat Bijli, Voltan Transformers are other stocks that I would watch because the ministry, the Environment Ministry or the Renewable Energy Ministry has proposed the basic customs duty of 25% on solar modules starting July 30, 40% basic customs effective April 22nd, 2022. That's too far off. But essentially 30%, 25% duty on solar modules and on solar cells about 15%. This is a Bloomberg story. And I dare say maybe some of these stocks could well be in focus in today's session as well. But watch out for Sumitomo Chemical. The promoter is going to sell about 50 lakh shares. It's not a large sense of equity, but OFS at a price of 265, which is a 10% discount to closing price yesterday. Let's see if Sumitomo is in sees a bit of a downtick today. And one stock that could be very interesting, brokerage is a bit bullish on this one as well. Post the numbers is Apollo Hospitals. The numbers look very interesting. Revenues were up about 18%. Yes, a bit sluggish compared to what estimates were, but estimates really hold not as much value as the actual performance. Look at that. Aided by a one-time income, net profit was about 2.7 times. Yes, but EBITDA and EBITDA margins very strong. EBITDA 31% at 348 crores. The estimates, as I said, not hold too much of a reference, but what about 259 and margins at 13.5%. So seemed a beat all through and through for Apollo Hospitals. I would watch out for this one in the session today. Could well turn out to be another interesting one on the upside that you have to monitor. Remember, and viewers, remember, Goldman Sachs has downgraded Tata Motors. You have to watch out for that one. Morgan Stanley's upgraded Eicher Motors. You have to watch out for that one. So autos are firmly in focus. And this with what stood out for me. And what stood out for me was Larry Fink giving a comment. Now, when the BlackRock CEO says, I think you have to listen. And he said that I think the market is probably a little bit ahead of itself at this time because I still believe we are witnessing real tragedies in the small and medium businesses. This is an interaction that I think he gave to either CNBC, Fox, or Bloomberg, one of the US news agencies. But this comment stood out for me, and which is why I thought it was important to point it out here. Well, all of you have a safe trading day ahead. First day of the new series. All the best. Do watch out. Could the losers of the last series make a bit of a comeback because they certainly are the sectors in focus, which is telecom and pharma. You have to watch out for that. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Trade Setup.